So, update 5.5 is now up and running. The dust has settled a little bit and people are now starting to realize the magnitude of the radical changes that have taken place. And I, for one, am disappointed. Let me stay straight from the off. I am not impressed with this update for numerous reasons which we will get into in the video. But you just need to know from the beginning, this is not my favorite update. There is a hell of a lot wrong with this update. So, let's have a look and see what Wargaming have actually done. Hello again everybody and welcome back to Fujit's Blitz, and let's start from the beginning. At the moment this is a video solely about 5.5 and the update, and it's only focusing on the impacts that 5.5 have brought in. So let's get rid of some of the positives first. We've got some new tanks in the tech tree. We've got a new Chinese tier 2, we've got a new heavy line in German tech tree that leads you now to the mouse. And that's about it with the new tanks, to be perfectly honest and frank with you. What else is good about it? Well, there are some positives with regard to there could be tanks that you've had in your garage for eons that you didn't even realize you had, and you only roll them out every time they get a birthday. Or like me, you have tanks that you absolutely detest, like the A32 that you just can't get on with. Wow, now Wargaming have changed some of this, and they've allowed you to sell these tanks for gold, which is nice. Previously you could only sell them for credits. Now you get gold, real tangible stuff that you can buy new tanks with eventually. They've also changed the status of many tanks from tiers 1 through to 5 and 6 and 7 actually, and made them called collector's tanks, which, okay, you haven't lost the tank, they've just changed their designation and no longer in the tech tree, and you probably can't buy these tanks again, but if you already had them you're still going to keep them. And the other thing that they've done is streamline the tech trees. So if you're a new player, you're not going to find it such a long grind to get to tier 5 or 6 anymore. Which again, could be nice if you're a new player. Well, that's about it on the positives from my side. So let's have a look at the negatives. Wow, where do you start? Because from where I'm sat, there are far more negatives than positives. There really are. This is a massive radical change in tiers 1 to 4. I mean, well, let's just start at the beginning. Tier 1 doesn't exist anymore, realistically. Those tanks that you grew up with, the T1, the light tractor, the MS-50, they've gone. They have gone. They no longer exist. They've gone. And they've been replaced by what was previously tier 2 tanks. So, on the one hand, Wargaming are giving you 3 new tanks, a new tier 2 in the Chinese line and 2 new German heavies, but on the other hand they've taken away 5 tanks. Okay, you got compensation, but you've lost 5 tanks out of your garage. There are 5 tanks now missing that you can never own again. They no longer exist. And that's just one of the changes. And I hear everybody saying, oh, but the tier 1 tanks for pants, they were awful, they were rubbish, they were no good, nobody's going to shed a single tier for them. Well, I'm sorry, I disagree. Because there are people out there who want to ace every tank, and they were probably going back to their tier 1 tanks and trying to ace them, and now they can't because they don't exist. So whilst a lot of players probably don't like the tier 1 tanks, probably never played the tier 1 tanks after they moved away from tier 1, you're not the only players out there. There are other players out there too who probably did like them, and I'm sorry, there is no way that I'm buying the argument that you can seal club in a tier 1. You just can't do it. It's not that easy. I don't know anybody who's done 8, 9, 10, 20,000 games in a tier 1 tank. I don't accept it, and I never will. Anyway, that's the tier 1s. What about the other changes? Well, there's collector's tanks, and then there's a streamlined tech tree. And then there's this type of tank, the A20. Now, the A20 is not a collector's tank, it's a tech tree tank still. And it's been nerfed to oblivion. This tank is no longer a tank that it once was. It is a shadow of its former self. It really is. I mean, it used to have a very nice auto-loading gun that dished out a lot of damage. And in Wargaming's infinite wisdom, they've removed that and left you with this absolutely pants gun that's similar to what the A32 has, that fires heat and HE. And really, it is truly an awful gun. I mean, it really is. It's got, look, an 11-second reload. It dishes out hardly any damage. This tank is no longer an effective tank on the battlefield. It is absolutely rubbish. Now, I know one of the arguments was, oh, but lots of SEAL Clubbers use this tank. Well, I can assure you, this tank has seen better days. And if you were a SEAL Clubber in this tank, you've probably sold it now. If you're not a SEAL Clubber and you get this tank, you are going to be sorely disappointed because it is absolutely rubbish. This used to be a nice tank. This used to be a beautiful tank to run around in. Now it's almost unplayable, regardless of which gun you stick in it. You could stick in this gun, which is just, okay, it gives decent-ish damage, but it's pants, or you can stick in the lower loading gun, which has hardly any penetration and damage dishing out. I mean, it's just horrendous. And this tank is gone for a Burton, and it's a sad, sad shame. And it is not the only one. Now, what I've done, I have picked certain tanks to show you in this video. Tanks which some people like, some people didn't, but have been severely affected. Now, here is the Light Vic. It was never a great tank to begin with, and now it's a collector's tank. Ah, wow, okay, it was a free premium tank, to be honest with you. And it wasn't that brilliant. I mean, its penetration wasn't that great, and its armor's not that great either. Now, it's been nerfed. I mean, unbelievable. They've nerfed it. They've dropped some of the pen values. Now it's almost impossible to go on the battlefield with this tank. I mean, just look at it. It is absolutely abysmal. I am in a tier 2, tier 1 game. I am literally the top tier tank, and I can't pen. There is nothing I can pen. I mean, okay, I got a couple of shots out of him. I've done 46 damage, and I am almost the top tier tank. What on earth is going on? Who in their right mind is going to keep this tank? Nobody, because it's absolutely awful. It's almost unplayable. It absolutely is. I mean, I'm being lucky here with this BT7 because, sorry, the BT2, because the guy's not even bothering with me. And he's driving, I don't know if he's a bot or just a really bad player, but he doesn't care. And you know, the only reason I'm getting any damage is because somebody's looking the other way. I've done 142 damage. I've got a kill. Whoopee-doo. I mean, this has got to be one of the worst tanks in the game. I would rather have kept the T1 or the light tractor instead of this POS. What on earth were they thinking? Really? Let me get rid of it. Give me compensation for this and keep the light tractor, please, or the MS. I would have preferred the MS1. Let me keep the MS1. I don't want this stupid Light Vic. It's absolutely unplayable. I would have had better fun and a better chance of getting anything with the MS1. I mean, look, not a single pen. No penetration. None. Unbelievable. This is by far a disaster. And this is just one of many disasters that's happened with update 5.5. The collector's tanks, if you look at them, they now have one gun, one engine, one this, one that, and it's awful. I mean, the DW2, for example, now only comes with one gun. It's unbelievable what they've done here. Now, if the aim is to get everybody to get rid of these tanks to free clutter or whatever, then they've done a really good job, because I can't see many people keeping these tanks anymore. I really can't. I mean, I used to like this tank. It was never a great tank, but it was a bit of interesting fun to go on the battlefield. Yeah, okay, you always struggled to pen. Yeah, okay, you never really gave out that much damage. But nerf it. Why? Why change the parameters? Why do anything with it? It's unbelievably outrageous. I just don't get it. Like I said, I would have preferred to have kept the MS-1 or one of the other tier 1 tanks rather than this. It wasn't even considered. Look at that. I've done 167 damage in a tier 2 game, and I'm the top tier. What was the point? And they even gave me a second class for it. Can you believe that? Unbelievable. And by far, this is not the worst. I mean, you can go through all your collector's tanks and you will see that the parameters have changed so much. Almost every tank has been nerfed, apart from some have had the engines increased, like in the Matilda, or the velocity increased. But generally, they've all had their DPM decreased, their armor decreased, their rates of fire decreased, their penetration decreased, and the damage decreased. This is the T-82. This used to be a nice little tank. It was never one of the best tanks in the game. Now, it's unplayable. It's completely unplayable. It comes with one gun, and it comes with the stupid HE heat gun that people generally didn't use on it anyway. I mean, I dare people to go out in this tank and have fun, because I didn't. It's slow. It's cumbersome. The aim time is abysmal. The load time is abysmal. Everything about it is just awful. Look at that. The HE won't even penetrate. And when you do get a round off, it's so cumbersome. It's painful, guys. This is not fun. This was not a fun game for me. In fact, I hated every minute of this game. I couldn't wait for it to be over. And you'll see, I mean, there is just nothing you can do in this tank. It is really unplayable. Absolutely. I mean, and I've been told, and we've been told, that these changes was to stop seal clubbing, which I don't buy. I'm sorry, I don't buy it, because, you know, people are just going to rerun or re-roll their accounts or whatever. It's not to stop seal clubbing. I don't know if it's to free space up, or what I suspect, to now streamline new players to the upper tiers quicker. The reason I say it's not to stop seal clubbing, okay, if you are a new player, if you join in the next couple of days and you've never played Blitz before, you will suddenly have access to the store. Have you seen how many premium tanks above tier 6 are in that store? I mean, you could be a new player with three games and you can still roll out in a high tier tank and get clubbed to death by a seasoned vet. I'm not buying the seal clubbing. I just don't get it. I get that maybe people are leaving because they don't want the grind. Fine, fair enough. Streamline the tiers. But I don't understand why they then decided to nerf all the collector's tanks. By all means, turn them into collectors, but leave them alone. Why nerf them? Why change their parameters? That just doesn't make any sense. It sucks. I mean, look at this tank. It's just, who wants to play in the T-82 now? Really? I mean, it's just horrible. And this was just one of many games I played in the lower tier stage. And I found it across the board. I went out on the Sherman 5, a shadow of its former self. I went out on the Matilda, which is, okay, you've got a nice new engine. But again, it's not the tank it used to be. I went out on my favourite tank, the DW2. And you know what? I don't like it anymore. It's just not fun. The A20 is just awful. The T-82 is not worth playing. I went out in the M3 Lee. Well, good luck with that one, because I know people who like the M3 Lee. I guarantee you they won't like it anymore. It's been changed beyond all recognition. And this is the bit I don't get. Change collector's tanks. Yeah, I get that. Make collector's tanks. Beautiful. Great idea, wargaming. But why change the parameters? Why nerf them? That makes absolutely no sense. And look at this. I've done 541 damage in this thing. And it was a horrible game. And I get a third class for my troubles. What on earth is going on? Now I know a lot of you are going to say, oh, but Fuji, you're missing the point. All the dirty seal clubbers have now been sorted out. Oh, and this is the next game, by the way. This is the looks. This used to be a fantastic tank. Well, if you like the looks and you like rolling out in it, I've got some real bad news for you. This tank, well, I don't know what they've done to it. Remember it used to have 3 clip? It's now got a 2 clip. So they've lowered everything. No more, no more 3 clip. You've got 4 shots rather than 6 or whatever it was. It's just not the same tank. It's just not the same tank. Anyway, like I said, people are going to moan and say, oh, but Fuji, this sorts out the seal clubbers, this removes seal clubbing from the game. No, it doesn't, guys. This has nothing to do with seal clubbing. If you want to address seal clubbing realistically, then I would recommend that you remove win rates and statistics like that from all players who play in tiers 1 to 5, and only allow win rate statistics to come into play once you get to the upper tiers. That removes seal clubbing, because you remove the incentive. Oh, and I didn't even touch on the fact that the credit efficiency in all these tanks now is less than what it used to be. You are not going to gain many credits anymore. In fact, you will see that in most of my games, I've got negative credits here. And I'm not playing these tanks particularly well, I admit, but I'm not playing them particularly badly either. So I'm not making money, I'm wasting credits. That's not going to make me want to play them. They're rubbish. That's not going to make me want to play them. I don't have fun in them. That's not going to make me want to play them. So okay, maybe it's discouraged people from playing them. But I am now being penalised because of a few seal clubbers. That, I feel, is unbelievably unfair. Why should I suffer because of a few clubbers? Really? I would far prefer to keep the tanks as they were, not change them, add the additional tanks by all means, but keep all the other tanks as they were, change some of those tanks to collector status, that I don't mind, but remove the win rates. Then you will stop seal clubbers, because now they've got nothing to do. They can't paddle their stats anymore, and there's no reason for them to go into these tiers to club. The credit efficiency is lower, and what's the point if you're not getting your win rates, you're not getting your credits? Really, this has nothing to do with seal clubbing, in my opinion. This has everything to do with retaining new players and pandering to the needs of those players who are active in the upper tiers. It does not address everything, and I think it's a really poor update. I think it's really bad, and I'm not a community contributor. I don't have press cards or accesses for wargaming. I don't get content. I only run a very small YouTube channel, and I've been watching around, and I see that Amunet issued a video earlier this week saying that she doesn't fully agree with the changes. I know that some of the other players, some of the other CCs have been vocal about it, but what I would say is this: the job of the CC and the job of the people who do these voluntarily, these channels, is not to turn a positive spin on everything, but to tell the truth and to tell the people out there, like you're a journalist. And I know we're not journalists. I'm not a journalist. I'm a lawyer. But at the end of the day, I think it's my obligation to approach this as if I was a journalist. If I'm doing a review, the job I have, the obligation I have, is to be open and honest. And I'm being open and honest. This update sucks. It is probably one of the biggest killers of the game, in my opinion, because it's changed everything so radically and so quickly, and not necessarily in the best interest of the players, and that will usher in disaster, because now you're going to have a load of players who are not happy, and they will probably leave. And if they don't leave, they'll complain, and if they don't complain, they will just stop playing. Simple as that. They won't play as many games, and that's sad. It really is. And I don't know what else to say. I mean, other than this is probably the most disheartening updates I've come across, and I don't think anybody is going to be bothered to listen to the players or address the situation or the needs of the players, and that in itself is sad too. Anyway, guys, that's it from me on this video. like I said, this is not a great update in my opinion. I'm not impressed with it. It's disappointing. I think it's too radical, and it didn't need to be. And whilst I don't begrudge wargaming earning a profit, I do draw the line when that impacts upon the fun that this game used to have. Now, I've never been a positive critic of this update. In fact, I've been a very vocal critic of this update, and in fact I've even issued open letters to Wargame on the forums about the dissatisfaction in this. Not that anybody would listen. So I've said enough on this update now. I think I'm going to draw a line under it. I've said what I needed to say. I've been vocal. I've criticised it. I've made my opinions known, so to speak. Try to continue to enjoy the game, guys. There are still some gems out there in tiers 1 to 5. You just need to find them. The tanks that you used to love are not the tanks that they used to be. You will have to adapt your game style slightly to accommodate that. But it's not all doom and gloom, realistically. There are some positives. There are not many, but there are some positives. And I suggest you try and focus on that in the short time. Anyway, that's enough from me. I hope this has been enlightening, albeit a bit preachy. And until the next time, guys, stay safe. Try to have some fun out there, and try to have some happy tanking. Bye for now, guys. Hey, I've been Fujit and you've been great. I really hope you enjoyed watching this video as much as I enjoyed making it, and I'd love if you would press subscribe. Who knows, we can do some more. By all means, drop me comments, tell me what can be improved, and tell me what you'd like to see. I really love to know. Anyway, until the next time, guys, happy tanking.